I told them to tweet on that. Hey, everybody, what's up? Well, everything is fine. Yes, we were talking about whether or not we were tweeting this out from our BettingPros YouTube account. Of course we are. Don't be ridiculous. We are here, ready to go. Week 2, all the action. I love it. Let's start with Matt. How was your week 1?
It was okay. I think I wound up slightly up betting wise, and the Raiders over helped dramatically, so that was good. I ended Monday night, bailed me out a little bit as to where I was, but 4-1 in one Circa play. Our daily juice team went 2-3, but I like our daily juice picks this week. They're almost identical. Both my teams almost have the same 5 going into the Circa Million. Yeah, so I either it's feast or famine. Either we do really well or we fall on our face. So one of the two, but I actually do like the picks.
Okay, very good. What are your picks for the Circa contest then this week?
Sure. Hold on one second. Let me just pull them up real fast. Okay. So
pull them up.
So the picks for our team, we are on the Panthers plus 3.5. We are on the Dolphins plus 3.5.
We're
on the Eagles plus 3.
Like
the Patriots minus 5.5, and the Cardinals minus 3.5.
What happened to the Perrault dead zone of not taking a favorite up 5.5?
Well, a couple things. First, the number actually is 6. So I waited for it to get to 6, which is kind of a dumb thing to do, but I waited to 6 because then I teased it. So I have that game down to a pick for Patriots. And then I laid the 6 as well, because I do think the Patriots are going to kill your Jets today. So I went ahead and just said, okay, fine. We're off the 5.5, even though the Circa Million pick is still 5.5. The number has risen. It opened at 3.5. There's been tons of steam. So I like Patriots big today.
First of all, did you mention in Discord that we were doing this right now? Did you give an ad to everyone in Discord?
I did not. You want me to
do that? Yeah, okay. Go do it right now. Get everybody in here. Let's go. I mean, last week we had like 500 people. Right now, people are trickling in. What's up, Carlos Flores? We see you. Mike, we see you. Ben, we see you. Bemi Damon, we see you as well. Yeah, put in everyone. Let's go. People are going to be annoyed at me about the props, Matt. They're going to be asking me where your props. I'm going to be like, I put them in.
Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life. This is what I deal with every single day. Where's the props? Where's the like? Oh my gosh, guys! Like, give me a break. It's unbelievable.
You know, my problem also, Matt, is that I don't love doing the props unless I feel good about them. So like, you're always like, oh, give me a prop, give me a prop, give me a prop. I'm like, okay, I don't really have it. Nate Paul says Sutton over 4.5. Receptions. All right, lowest scoring team. That's fine. But there's Ben. Hi, Ben. Where are my props? They're coming. Don't worry. I've got one. I'm just gonna wait. People are starting to trickle in, Matt. But you definitely want to.
Today's been one of those mornings for me where, like, last week I was in California and I was in the hotel, and so I had the wedding, and I was up and like I had all nervous energy, and like yesterday was crazy, and there was just so many things going on, and I was up late watching BYU Arizona State and being really angry about that. And then I'm going to be honest, the Penn State game took like years off my life. I just cannot believe the Penn State game. That refereeing was just so bad. So that's why I didn't. Normally I'm on the Discord channel tweeting things out and posting whatever. So I apologize for not doing that today. I will be better.
It's fine. Yeah, you're terrible. You're totally screwing the pooch. Okay. So what do we want to do here, Matt? How do you want to go through? You want to go through the games again? You mentioned your circuit plays. I assume that those are your favorite plays then of the week necessarily, or do you have personal plays that you like a little better, or what?
No, I mean that's pretty. The only thing is that I have the Bengals plus 3, and that was a number play. Once it went to 3, I wanted the 3 points, and once it went to 2.5 in the Circa contest, it was a no play. A lot of people wanted to take it. That I kind of overruled the team a little bit and said, "Look, I've done this contest enough to know that 2.5 is a major tell, and I'm concerned about that bet. I don't like that bet anymore, but I've made it, so it's already done. But yeah, I don't like how public it became very quickly. So that's the only real discrepancy. The teaser, I'll have a long teaser here before we're done. I'm just gonna wait and see and let some of these numbers shift around before we get out of here. But I want to go. You're supposed to go right before kickoff. Within 30 minutes of kickoff, this thing gets off an hour before kickoff. But we're good. We're good.
I'm with you. Okay. And meanwhile, Matt, I mean, I'm just looking at bettingpros.com with the consensus line. The Bears it's down to 1.5 at most books. Like, it's really, is this money coming in, like sharp money coming in and hammering the Bengals, or what?
It was sharp money early, and the public just jumped on the steam. And then once the books got off of 3, they really didn't care, and they're just going to drop it down. The game could close at a pick. There is sharp money on the other side now coming in on the Bears, because they don't look, 4 is a good number. 3 is as low as you should have gone. And now I do not like 2.5, 2 or 1.5. I don't like that for the Bengals. Even though they could win the game outright, I just from a straight betting perspective and a numbers perspective, there's not a ton of value in taking 2.5 points when you could have taken 4.
Okay. How do we feel about giving out a prop like right off the bat? One prop right off the bat. I mean, for the early goers, all right. And I'm going to go in order. Now, here's what I've done. I have tried to remain consistent with our prop bet cheat sheet. Okay. That's where you can find it at bettingpros.com/props. That's where you can find it. And again, it takes projections and it sees which one it has the biggest edge. So here we go. My number one prop, which is not one of the top 5 props necessarily. Oh, hold on. Before I'll start mine. This is more mine. It is in line with the prop bet cheat sheet, but it is not one of like the top 5. Chris Carson over 16.5 receiving yards. The prop bet cheat sheet projection, as you can see in that post, is 22.14 receiving yards. My projection is 23.9 receiving yards as we got into it, as I finished it up. So that is what we have. Now, here's the deal with Carson, guys. Carson's going to be heavily involved so long as he's healthy. He always is. He played 12 games last year. He's played 1 right now. 9 of his last 13 games, he has gone over this. Usually when he doesn't, he gets hurt. I'm a little surprised that this line is low. I think this game is going to be a lot of offense. I think he's going to get involved. It's going to take 1, maybe 2 catches for him to get here. This line, I mean, again, he almost always goes over it in this one. Tennessee is not exactly great at stopping running backs. Absent him getting hurt, I feel very confident that this is going to hit. So this is my favorite one. And again, the prop bet cheat sheet has this as well. 22.14 is the projection for his receiving lines. I'm a little higher than that, but this is one of the bets. So that is number 1 on my prop bet. You trailing, Matt, or what do you got?
I don't know yet. I got to think about How do you feel about Metcalf?
I mean, I think you want my projections for Metcalf. I can pull them up if you want. Yeah. All right. So let me pull them up.
The number I can bet right now for Metcalf is 73.5 receiving yards.
Yep.
And I just wonder about his big play up. I'm with you on the high scoring game and both teams passing a lot.
Yeah.
I just running back props always scare me just because you have to have a play, thrown to them. But
the bottom line though is look, Rashad Penny's out in this game, Matt. Like he gets his targets, like he does. Like whether it's DJ Dallas, whether it's Alex Collins, whatever it's going to be, he gets his targets, and he's been doing it for well over a year at this point. Now, hold on, I'm pulling up my projections for him, which you can find, by the way, always if you want to. Metcalf, I have at 89.9 yards. So you want that projection?
You have an 89.
I do. I have an 89.
Whoa. Yep. All right. I may need to jump on the Metcalf over 73.5 receiving yards then.
Very good. By the way, I will say so. Anyway, this is number 1. This is good. Somebody's asking if it's at 18.5 on DraftKings. I'm okay with it. I mean, again, that's less enticing, but it is something that I'm willing to do. Now, here's one thing that I'm going to also show, and this is what I want you guys to know because I only saw this yesterday. I'm going to replace the week 1. The top 15 bets in the prop bet cheat sheet for the NFL went 11-4. 11-4 in the right. This is a free service, guys. It is based on projections again, and it is based on the market. 11-4. That's 73%. It last week in week 1. Now I don't know if it's going to do that every single week, but that is something where. Oh, goodness gracious. Sorry. I'm dealing with all other issues on our FantasyPros side with any technical glitches. But yes, just so you guys know, that is at bettingpros.com/props. Totally free. Go there. Just trail the top 15 if you want. Again, 11-4 last week. So that's where it is. I will have a couple more as well. Yeah. It's not bad. Good. It's not bad at all. All right. Why don't we get into some games here, Matt? You just want to go down through through everything.
Let's do every game. I've got numbers from FanDuel I can give you as to where the handle is as of an hour ago. So just why don't we go ahead and start? Just pick a game when we can go.
I'll just go through it in the order it's listed in Betting Pros. Matt, you and I think, are both on this game. It is the Dolphins getting 3.5 at home from the Bills. You like the Dolphins, right?
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I've got a tease on this where I teased it up to 9.5. And it's I have the Patriots on the other side, so the Dolphins Patriots teaser contest picks here, taking the 3.5. I'm more confident with a contest pick than I am on a money bet on this, but 86% of the handle, 81% of the bets at FanDuel are all on the Bills. This is there are multiple games like this where teams are 80% plus on the handle on one side. And I just think you got to be really careful about laying points with a road favor in a divisional game, with Miami's whole defense basically being built in the offseason to stop this offense for Josh Allen.
It makes no sense to me, man. Also, by the way, Florida, especially at this point, that's a really difficult, like, it's very hot down there. Like, we saw Aaron Rodgers last week, right? I mean, I think that factored into it a little bit, just like you are not expecting exactly what we're going to get here. Miami, who basically everybody just constantly wants to write off. I know the turnovers are fluky and we wait for them to end. I get it. But when you are getting more than a hook, I agree with you, by the way. It is in the teaser for one of my teasers this week, too, which I teased them up as well. But I like them at 3.5. This strikes me as a 3-point game, one way or another, and they're going to stay close. So I love it. We're in agreement on this one. So all week long, Matt, I saw, and I guess, I don't know what it was in the contest, that the Eagles were getting 3.5 from the 49ers. It's now 3 from what I'm looking at. Am I wrong? Was it 3.5 for most of the week? It was.
No, all week it was 3.5, 3. It was, there were about 6 games that I talked about on my radio show were painted 3.5 and didn't move all week. And then they finally dropped down to 3. Because everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but short money is all over the Eagles today. Big plays on the Eagles today.
Yeah, that struck me as the right. I mean, I didn't love the game. I didn't go crazy with it or anything like that. But at 3.5, I thought the Eagles were right. I think the Eagles actually, Matt, I don't know about you. I don't want to overreact to what we saw against a really bad Atlanta football team. But, there were a lot of, it was a lot of hate on the Eagles, myself included. And I was, that prop draft that I have with the Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association, where I won it last year, and we were doing it. One of my number one was Nick Sirianni at Coach of the Year is whatever. And I was feeling pretty terrible about that pick coming into the year, but he did exactly what I thought he did exactly what I thought he would do. Sorry, my son is next to me, everybody. If you hear me talking, he loves to pop in here. You can pop in. Good. The camera. There he is. My boy, Will, loves the live streams. If I couldn't have Will on camera or during a podcast, I would never see him. Anyway, so, but what they did with that offense, Matt, is they designed it absolutely perfectly at a really low ADOT. He got the ball out. They used his rushing ability. They used a lot of RPOs. Very impressed with what we saw. And so long as those lines stay healthy, they're going to be in these games. So if you could get it at 3.5, I would. Do you like it at 3, Matt?
I like it at 3.5. 3 is a little bit pushing it. But here's the thing about the 49ers is that, the most injury, I think, is significant, even though they do run through running backs. I get that. They've got COVID issues in the secondary. They've got injuries to their cornerbacks. I mean, they stay on the East Coast, so it's not like they're not going to be adjusted to the time zone. But I just think this is one of those games where you're going into a hostile environment. The Eagle fans are feeling good about their team being 1-0, and the 49ers have a long season to go. There's 17 games. This is a trap game in a lot of ways to me with the Niners, and 63% of the handle at FanDuel, 55% of the bets are on the Eagles. So basically 50-50 in terms of where this game's going to go. People are saying, that offense is going to explode. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to use the weapons, but I don't know. I like the home dog here. We've seen home dogs in the NFL barking really loudly, and this is one of those games where I would say the trend may be continuing.
I also lean the under on this, Matt. And in fact, one thing I'm doing in the 2-team teaser is I'm teasing it up from 49 to 55, and I'm taking the under with it. And I'm going to do one with the Dolphins, teasing them up as well to 9.5. And I'm going to do another one with the Panthers, which we'll talk about in a second, also up to 9.5. Because I do not expect this game to be a crazy shootout or anything like that. I think both teams are going to kind of slog their way through it. I think it's going to be a pretty decent defensive game. Keep it close. So I lean the under. I didn't take it at 49 or 49.5, but I did tease it up in part of my 2-team teaser.
And I teased this game. I have another teaser where I didn't. This is a personal play for the Juice folks. I'm like, Matt, you didn't give this. I've taken the Panthers, which we talk about, and the Eagles, and I teased them both up to 9. So when you have a total of 49 or lower, and you're giving one team 9 points, it's a pretty attractive route to go in terms of lower scoring games, tighter games, and then giving one team nearly double digits.
Yeah. Okay. So I will put this up because it's like 75 people asking for this. People want your pick, Will. So what's your one pick? I bet, is it the Patriots beating the Jets by 6? No? How about the Chiefs laying 3.5 to the Ravens? You always go with Mahomes, right? You think, that's his pick. No, Matt says no. Yeah. Matt says that Will's very confident, Matt. Will's very confident. And he is 8. And he did have his first stolen base ever in Little League coming up.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Crazy. Okay. How about we give another prop? What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's talk about this Jets Patriots game right here. And let's talk about Jacoby Myers going up against the secondary that nobody in the world can name, at all with it. Jacoby Myers over 54. I think it's 54 receiving yards. Might have been 54 and a half. Sorry, whatever it is. The prop bet cheat sheet, again, 11-4 last week in the top bets. Do have it at 64 and a half. I have it right there at 65.1 receiving yards at -120. Matt, I don't know where you see it, but look, I know they're going to run. They're going to have some fun, but there will be passing plays at this point. Could go to Aguilar. But again, Jacoby Myers, they're not going to be able to guard anybody at this point. So for me, I like Jacoby Myers. And what I do, by the way, Matt, when I do projections also is I have Myers higher than our expert consensus rankings over at FantasyPros. So this is like 190 experts ranking. And when I'm higher on a guy, that usually means that my projections are generally above where the market is. That's exactly what we have here. So I like Myers over 54.
Yeah, I will trail this. And this is one of the plays that I will like. Myers is going to be, I think him and Jones have got something cooking together.
Yeah.
I think there's some chemistry there. And I think that the fact that you've got a younger quarterback and a younger receiver who is starting to come into his own, I think it's one of those things where I think like a new set of eyes comes into the offense and all of a sudden he's like, that guy's pretty good. Why did we throw the ball more to that guy last year?
Right.
So I think he's looking for Myers. I don't mind a Myers touchdown today either, for an anytime touchdown, but over 54, I will trail you on this. I do like that to make that an official play at 28 for a quarter unit for me.
I have an unofficial report. My guess is true, is that Rhamondre Stevenson is inactive today.
Yep, that was going to be
that was. Okay.
Yeah, in one of the, there's a couple of people were whining, Patriot media were whining about the fact that you didn't have much effectiveness with Stevenson, and then you had a tired Damian Harris, and that's why the fumble happened, where if you'd kept Sony Michel may have been active and Stevenson may, so there's a whole controversy around that. So it was expected he was not going to play today.
Okay.
And there's some question about his future with the team, but he made the team out of camp. But what does he do going forward is a big question.
Okay. All right. So let's get now, and I'll take that prop again. That's two props so far. The first one was Chris Carson over 16 and a half receiving yards. So let's get to our next game, Matt. The Rams are on the road. They're laying 3.5 to the Colts. What do you think?
So this is another huge game in terms of pros versus Joes and public versus the books, because everyone on the public side is on the Rams and there is some professional money on the other side coming back. I just think I'm buying it. I think the Rams are going to kill the Colts today. And I know there's a lot of people who disagree with that, but Carson Wentz has been an absolute train wreck. And ATS, he's been a train wreck. I think he's lost 6 consecutive games straight up. I don't know how, home or not, I'm not sure how you go ahead and back the Colts today, but 83% of the handle, 84% of the bets at FanDuel are laying the 3.5 with the Rams today. And it's not a bet for me, but it is a contest play. It's the one discrepancy between my personal team and the Daily Juice team. We have the Eagles plus 3.5. Okay. I'm laying the 3.5 with the Rams on the other team.
Okay. Yeah. This seems like something where they want you to take the Rams. And that's what, when I look at it, because everything says take the Rams. And again, regardless of if you think the Colts are better than they showed yesterday, remember, Carson Wentz probably still isn't exactly 100%. They had all sorts of issues getting together and having any sort of practice time. They've got no T.Y. Hilton. The other receivers are a little banged up. It's basically Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines at this point. So it's very difficult to see how they keep this game close. But I agree. It's not. This is, by the way, every live stream and everything that I do is this human. Just right there. Okay. Texans visiting the Browns. Browns are now laying 13.5. It opened at 12.5. It's moved up. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because people are on the Texans, and 65% of the bets and 58% of the handle at FanDuel are coming in here on the Browns, laying that 13.5 points. I'm not touching this game with your money, Dan. This is a game I'm staying as far away from as possible. It should be an absolute clown show blowout, but this is the NFL, and these are the games. Somebody said to me the other day that I really respect. They said, go look at the double-digit favorites and go circle which team loses outright, because one of them will lose outright this week.
Yeah. I can't see that happening in this game, but I can't lay that many. I just can't. Like, if you had to, Matt, what would you do? You absolutely had to 13.5. You take Texans?
If I had to do it.
I'm forcing you to do it. I'm giving you
it.
No, you got to take it. I'm just wondering.
If I had to do it, I probably would wind up doing, I probably would take the 13.5 points. Yeah. Or I would buy it up to 14 and hold my nose and hope that the Browns don't destroy the Texans.
Yeah. Okay. So people are asking, by the way, Chris Carson now is at 18.5. I, again, don't love it quite as much. I'd still bet it. I usually do half a unit on props just because I base on my projections. I'd probably do that as like a quarter unit, right? Because the edge isn't that huge for me at that point, but I'd still bet it at 18.5 if you can get it. So people are asking there. How about the Steelers laying 6 here to your Raiders, Matt? I mean, huge win, short week, cross country.
I've gone back and forth on this like crazy. And I know people on both sides, people I respect who are on both sides. My gut says take the points and take the Raiders, but this is a spot that you never see. A West Coast team plays on Monday night, gets sent to the East Coast to play in the early game. It's really, really rare. It's a bad scheduling quirk for the Raiders. Their offensive line has to be able to protect. If they can't, I don't know. But man, Darren Waller had such a crazy game. You might be able to answer this. Can you name the last time a tight end was targeted 19 times in a game?
You know, I should have looked it up because you asked me that before. I couldn't. I didn't know when it was. And this is not an anomaly that's going to happen. Like this is where he's going to live, right, Matt? And there's nothing anybody can do about it. Like that's the difference, right? There's nothing they can do about it.
Force the ball to him. And look, his receiving yards is 78.5. I've got it written down here. I haven't played it yet because I want to ask your take on it.
Yeah.
I mean, how does he not get 100 yards? I mean, if he does, it's his 6th consecutive game of getting 100 yards. And they're going to force the ball to him, whether he's double teamed or not. They're just going to put the ball at him and they're going to throw it and say, you have to catch the football. And he dropped like 4 balls against the Ravens. He could have had way more yardage than he had in the opener on Monday night. I mean, how do you not bet over for Darren Waller today?
Yeah, I understand. Like, I get it. I'm actually, hold on. I can pull up what my exact projections are for him. And I get, you're going to be like, wait, you got to go over, blah, blah. Hold on. My projections for him. Oh, you're going to hate it, Matt. You're going to really hate it. What is his line?
78.5.
Yeah, I have it at 74.4.
Interesting.
It's just I think that's pretty much done, bud. You're drinking water now. You're drinking the leftover ice from my iced coffee. He steals my coffee, everyone. Sorry, I will not be father of the year when everything comes out. Doesn't matter. Fine. Yeah. I mean, I think, Matt, in the end, it comes down to a healthy Steelers defense that's going to basically. I trust them enough to understand that, like, I will allow Henry Ruggs, nope, no more, Henry Ruggs or Bryan Edwards to beat me, and I will just triple team Darren Waller as best I can. So the fact that he's at 74.4 yards is enough, 6.7 receptions, half a touchdown. But yeah, I wouldn't take it. Personally, Matt, I get where you're coming from, but it's not somewhere where
72% of the handle, 65% of the bets are on the 5.5. Now there is some buyback at FanDuel where a number now is down to 5.5 from 6. Mm-hmm. I was hoping I was going to get to 7. There was a moment where it was at 6.5 yesterday that I thought about going in and buying the half a point up to 7. But I think this is a watch game for me, or it may be an in-play game for me where I'm just going to kind of watch and see what the Raiders do in their first couple of series. If they can protect, I think there's a good chance this game goes over. There's money on the under. 70% of the handles on the under at 46.5 points. I almost bet over 47. I think this is a higher scoring game than people think because I hate that Raider defense personally. So there may be an in-play bet for me if I think the Raiders can move the football on that Steelers defense because I know the Steelers are going to move the ball on the Raiders.
Okay. All right. I like it. Then let's get to the next one. And I think we touched on this earlier. Right now, it's the Bears laying 1.5 to the Bengals. So just break down how you feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, look, I took the 3 points when it was at 3. Once it got through 3, I was surprised, and it just went right down to 1.5. We got a pretty much 50-50 split here. The bet count at FanDuel is 51% on the Bengals. 44% of the handle is on them. However, 56% is on the Bears, leading to some sharp money coming back and I think buying back. I think there are a bunch of professionals who are on +4 and -1.5 trying to middle this a little bit with a 3-point Bears win. And so I'm comfortable being at 3. I wouldn't touch it right now. I think this game on both sides is unplayable given the line movement that we've seen, just how many better numbers were available. If you do like the Bears here, -1.5 is the time to get involved and just, or buy it down to 1 and just take the Bears to win the game.
Yeah, I think I do. I think I'm on that side under a field. I didn't want to go anywhere near it when it was a field goal, but I kind of think that this is going to be a game where the Bears, like, they didn't play that. The Rams are great. The Rams, I think, are probably coming out of the NFC, is my guess. And, they didn't look completely incompetent. Dave Montgomery was able to run the ball, surprisingly. I think that they are going to have a better game here at home than people expect. So I do think they win this game. So I don't mind it right now that the spread is down to there, even though I realize we do have Jason Farley is talking a lot about Eric Fisher, and he is going to be active today. That does help their offensive line. I agree. That is not a game changer for me at this point, just because, number one, Fisher is not 100% healthy. Offensive line is huge. Obviously, Matt, and it's an underreported sort of thing that the public doesn't think about that much, but in gambling and spreads, it's huge. I don't think it really moves the needle for me. Again, you've got Aaron Donald in there. Like, I don't really care if you're putting in somebody as good as Fisher is, who's not 100%. I don't think he's going to make it in. Jason Farley disagrees. You can. That's fine. Hopefully you're right. And but this is a game where I'm more than willing at this point.
Wait, back to the Bears in Bengals for a second. What is your projection for Ja'Marr Chase?
Let me see if my problem is he's probably not in the easy article that I have to pull him up. What are his numbers?
I think it's 54.5.
Yeah, I think I have him right around there. I have him at 55.2. So that's like right on the line for me. Okay. That's where I have him. Yeah. I have Higgins at 70. I don't know where Higgins' line is for that. I have Higgins at
where Higgins is.
Yeah, I have Higgins at 70.2. I do like Higgins.
I don't like this Bears secondary at all. And
the secondary is terrible. The secondary is terrible. You're right. And
so to me, that's why I like the Bengals here, because I don't trust the Bears offense. I think Andy Dalton is absolutely horrible. And I don't think Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace have a flipping clue what they're doing with Justin Fields. And they're causing such problems in their locker room and in their home city because they can't, like, the whole idea of designing a package for Justin Fields because he doesn't have a grasp of the playbook is the biggest indictment of the coaching staff for the Bears. That's not on Justin Fields. That's on Matt Nagy not being able to figure out what to do, and Andy Dalton beating out Justin Fields when you've got 3 rookie quarterbacks who are going to start games today and have a full grasp of your playbook and a full grasp of the offense, and say Justin Fields, who you traded up and gave up first-round draft picks for, you're not comfortable because he doesn't have the full grasp of the playbook. That's on Matt Nagy. It's insanity to me when you really take a look at it. And I'm angry at the Bears, to be quite honest. I know Bears fans as well. And I do think Ja'Marr Chase, I think the passing attack is going to have a really big game today against the Bengals. That's why I took them at +3. And everyone's on the over in this game for that very reason. 44.5 is the total. 70% of the handles on the over.
I mean, for me, part of what I worry about a little bit is it's the Bears, opener here at home. The crowd's going to be fired up. I think they're going to have a pass rush that is going to get to Burrow, who, again, very impressed, by the way, with what I saw from Burrow last week. I thought he was going to struggle early. He looked solid, and obviously Chase was a big addition that I also expected that he'd need some time based on everything we saw. He looked fantastic. But I think if he starts getting hit, man, and he starts taking a beating back there, he talked about how his knee was sore after this game. I think mentally it's going to be a little difficult for him to go. There was a report earlier today that Fields is going to play more in this game. I don't know. I agree. It's maddening. And again, Tags, who, is still recovering, and Yates, guys in our fantasy side, huge Bears fans right now. So if you ever want to get them going, we'll mention that. Okay, let's go to one more game. Then I'll give out another prop, and I will reiterate what my props were already with this. This is it, Matt. We talked about this. This is the Patriots laying 6 in New Jersey against the Jets. You are now on the Patriots, even though earlier you were on the Jets, right?
Yeah, the offensive line really is a major problem for this team. And looking at what the Jets are going to have to do against the Patriots pass rush, Bill Belichick is 20-6 straight up against rookie quarterbacks in his career. The spread immediately shot from 3.5 to 5.5, finally got to 6, where, as I said, I teased it down. And now I'm on the Patriots. 83% of the handle on the Patriots here. I got overthinking it, and I talked to a couple people that I really do respect and trust, and they like this thing all the way up to 7. The pass rush is going to eat this offense and Zach Wilson alive today. They gave up 6 sacks last week, and that's when they were not shuffling their offensive line.
Correct.
And the Patriots really do a good job of disguising coverages, and I think this is when the defense goes off, and I actually think Mac Jones has a big game today for the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean I'm optimistic actually based on what I saw from Zach Wilson, just because he was getting harassed and he hung in there and he tried to lead back the comeback. So that is great. But yeah, their offensive line, which they've invested heavily in over the last 2 years, still stinks. And now you've got no Becton and obviously like that. So that's going to be very problematic. Their secondary is just guys that you can't name, and 4th and 5th round picks galore. They have a ton of injuries going on right now. It is really difficult for me to see how the Jets keep this close. But again, they kept last week closer than I expected. So let's go to one of your teasers, Matt. If you guys can hear that, that is my garage door, which opens every single time I'm on a live stream or a podcast. Hold on, let me paste it in here, Matt. So this is one of the teasers that you like here. We talked about one of the first. You like teasing the Pats down from 6 to a pick and the Dolphins up from getting 3.5 to getting 9.5. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're taking these things and crossing key numbers. You're getting through that 3 number with the Patriots on the road. Look, the Patriots play. I've got a lot invested. I got 2 picks in contests. I've got a straight bet. I've got a teaser bet. I got a lot going on here for the Patriots team. So if I'm wrong and the Jets win this game outright, I'm in trouble. But I just don't think this is going to be. I know it's fading and going up against a lot of logic. It's a road favorite. It's a divisional team. It's a rookie quarterback. I get all the things that are pointing towards taking the Jets. That's where I was earlier in the week. But I just think the offensive line problems, not being able to run the football, putting the whole game on Wilson when you have Belichick's defense and you've got a defense that played. I think the leap from week 1 to week 2 for that Patriot defense is going to be significant. And I think we're finally going to see, even without having Stephon Gilmore back there, I think the Patriots defense is going to show why it's going to be one of the best units in the entire NFL. And I think it's going to be a really long day for the Jets.
I agree. I'm not trailing you. I thought about trailing you actually, Matt, on it because I already have the Dolphins part of it a lot. I don't want to right now. Jamison Crowder inactive, by the way. Not that that's a huge impact. I don't think on the offense. Is huge.
He's inactive.
He's inactive, but the bottom line, Matt, he was limited enough that I didn't expect him to make a huge impact in this game regardless, but he is inactive right now. Just tweeted out. I've got, by the way, if you play fantasy football or even if you just want like gambling and prop stuff like that, like we have Fantasy Pros has a news desk app, just, in your app store, Fantasy Pros news desk app. It is going to ping every time you've got sort of an inactive. We've got our whole team right now on it at all times. Jamison Crowder inactive in this game only helps you for sure, but I don't think it was a huge deal. So I'm going to give out another prop very quickly before we do. And I'm going to remind, because I know there weren't that many people here when we first started. We got a lot more now. This one I'm about to give out is one of the top 15 bets this week. At least it was as of last night in the BettingPros prop bet cheat sheet that compares our projections to what's available in the market. It gives you out last week, 11-4, 73%. That's what we've got for that. So this one I'm about to give out is, I went there last week, Matt. It didn't get there last week. It was very disappointing from the Titans, but I'm going back to the well on my guy in what I expect to be a shootout, and that is A.J. Brown, over 67.5 receiving yards at -114. You can say hi, honey. The prop bet cheat sheet is at 83.94. I'm going to check mine. Oh, by the way, I have 2 children here. Put your head in on that's my daughter.
What's going
Sophie.
on?
That's what she get here. Hold on. Here, you want to put that in your head? He wants to talk to you. Say hi to him while I look up.
How are you?
You hear him?
Good. Yeah, I can.
How old are you?
How old are you?
10.
10. What's going on? My daughter's 7. Good to see you. And she's running around somewhere around here too.
Yeah.
I don't let my kids in here, so your kids should be very fortunate. My daughter knows better than to not come in here when I'm on the air.
You could give it. This is kind of like my here. Give me the headphone now, darling. All right, thank you, honey.
Because that happens. Yes,
this is my shtick.
I know this. See, when you let them both in, they're just gonna run roughshod on you. You're done.
It's my shtick, though, Matt. It's sort of what I like. I would say like probably 75% of people think it's charming. 25% of people think that I completely ruin their Sunday morning experience. Dan Harris, okay. Okay, Matt. I have AJ Brown at 83.3 yards. It's at 83.94 yards in the prop bet cheat sheet. This is something, again, you could get injury. I think, Matt, the Titans, it's a bit of a get right game here for them. I think they're going to cover, by the way. That's just where I do. I think they're going to stick with it and cover. Will I see that? Hold on.
I have them winning 9.5. I bet them to win over 9.5 games. And I am extraordinarily nervous of. There are 2 bets I'm very nervous over. The Steelers under 8.5 has me extremely nervous, and the Titans over 9.5 has me extremely nervous. So I need the win. And look at. People are commenting on. Let me just take a second just to talk about the public angle here, okay?
Yeah,
guys,
thank you.
Be really careful from week 1 to week 2 of making widespread proclamations. Like someone just said, the Titans stink. Okay?
Yep.
Be really careful.
Yes.
Fight that bias, okay? Fight to say the Bills win by 10 today. Fight that bias, okay? Because the reason why the books build castles in the desert is because you guys think it's this easy. And you just go up after one game, there we go, and we're done. And then all of a sudden, come Sunday, your tickets are literally confetti because you went with your gut or what you looked at in week 1 to week 2, okay? So fight that. There's a reason why that number is 6 and it hasn't moved. Right. We'll get to the Chief game, but tonight, in this game tonight, be extremely careful with the KC Chiefs because the books are literally telegraphing what this game is going to be like because everyone is on Kansas City and the books are like, go ahead, bet it. Yeah. We're not afraid of you. So fight that bias with everything in your head. Forget about last week. Handicap this week, this game, not last week, because it has no carryover really from week 1 to week 2.
All right, Matt, let's get to another game because there's an inactive that will affect this. Right now, the Panthers are now getting 3. You can get it at 3.5 at a couple of spots, Fox Bet and FanDuel. I got it at 3.5 and I teased it up from the Saints at home. And we just got word that Marshawn Lattimore is in fact inactive, as was potential. And CJ Gardner-Johnson is inactive. They are decimated in that secondary. Oh, all right, hold on. Ready? Here's some more inactives. Paris Campbell, inactive. Denzel Mims, not that anybody really cares, inactive. None of this seems like it's crazy. Sorry, guys. I'm going through it.
For the secondary with the Saints, it's significant. And this is, the Panthers. I took I took plus 3.5 with the Panthers in both contest plays. I teased this from 3 to 9 with a teaser I talked about earlier. You got 51% of the handle and 62% of the bets coming in here on the Saints laying the 3.5. I'm on the Saints over 9.5. That number closed at 8.5 because everyone faded the Saints. And I said, be really careful. They're going to beat the Green Bay Packers in week 1. Everyone thought I was nuts. They didn't just win. They destroyed them. But Jameis Winston's numbers against the Carolina Panthers really bad. And I think it's, again, another overreaction. The Saints aren't that good, okay? The Saints are not a Super Bowl contending team in my mind. They are a double-digit win team. But I think this is a time where maybe Sam Darnold, we have a chance to fade him because he plays really well today. And then in week 3, week 4, we can get behind fading the Panthers. But today, home dog, another one of these home dogs I think you got to look at.
This is, I have up right now. This was a 2-team teaser that I made, which is I said earlier, the 49ers Eagles total up, and I took under, and then I teased the Panthers up to 9.5 from 3.5. It's a game, again, I agree. It makes me very nervous to back Sam Darnold, Matt, because even last week, he didn't look great against a terrible defense. He was fine. He's not as bad as he was with the Jets. He's not, because nobody can be as bad as they look with Adam Gase for sure. But he's not dominant. But still, that system is enough. Their defense played better than I expected. I don't think it was just because the Jets are terrible. I think it was there. So this is a 2-team teaser that I'm making just so everybody gets behind. It is 3 now. So it is something where obviously you'd only be able to tease up to 9. How about the Jaguars hosting the Broncos? They are getting 6. It moved from the look ahead, Matt, but it has not moved at all throughout the week. So I feel like I got to imagine that the money, it's got to be coming in, or the number of bets, the public's got to be hitting the Broncos on this, and they're not moving it, right?
Correct. And I again, this is another one of these games where I would be really careful getting behind the Broncos. And I think this is, you're on the road. It's in the heat, like we talked about in Jacksonville.
Chubb is out, by the way. Not Nick Chubb. Bradley Chubb for the Broncos is out. Not that it's not a huge thing, but Chubb is out for this game.
It's a good defensive pass rusher, so he's out. I mean, look, I just think the Panthers, the Jaguars are going to hang tough in their home games. And Teddy Bridgewater was like, oh, Teddy covers. Okay, I get that.
Yep.
But I don't know. I hate this game. I'm staying far away. I've got nothing on this game because I do not trust the Broncos to cover that big of a line on the road with Bridgewater at the quarterback spot.
I think there are certain spots, Matt, where I looked at a lot of games. We're going to talk about one in a little bit, which I think you're on the other side, which I'm fine. I'm holding my nose at. But there were a lot of things where this is kind of what you said, which is don't overreact to week 1. And there were a lot of times where I feel like the dogs in this game, the constant dogs getting the 3.5 points were sort of like the right way to be. It felt like the right side to be on. This one, it does feel like based on everything, The Jaguars are probably the right side to be on, but I can't do it, right? Like, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot bet on that Jaguars team based on what I saw. Urban Meyer looks like an absolute train wreck, complete train wreck. So there's nothing I can do with that. Okay, sorry. People are asking. I'm confirming right now that I believe Chubb is inactive. Sorry, someone was asking about it. Let me just double check because I didn't want to have given out. Oh no, gosh, I am sorry. Oh boy, I gave out terrible information. Chubb is actually active. I misread. I'm very, very sorry. Chubb is active. My bad. Thank you, somebody, for popping out. He is active today. You're right. I misread it. Thought it was inactive. My bad. Doesn't change how I feel about it, by the way. I'm just staying away. But that is my bad. Came across quick. Chubb is active, everyone. Active. All right. Let's get to next game. All right. So this is one, Matt, where I am holding my nose, and I'm on the other side of you because I saw what one of your picks. The Cardinals are laying 3.5 to the Vikings at home. You're with the Cardinals here, right?
It's a massive public play. I'm not gonna run from it and say that this is not going to be running with the masses. And I often say don't be with the masses. 87% of the handle, 91% of the bets are on the Cardinals. This is a place I do not like to be, but this defense for the Vikings is decimated. And I just don't think the number has gone against me. It was 4.5. I think when you took it, you took the Vikings at plus 4.5.
Correct.
It got to 3.5, and I was comfortable. Once it got below 4, I was comfortable taking Kyler Murray and company. I just think this is one of those, again, another game where I think the books is going to have to take it on the chin here. I know you got Cook, and I know you got a couple of really good wide receivers. I want your take on Jefferson's receiving prop here, because I do think he could have a really big game. But I think you got to worry about the pass rush that showed itself to be pretty good last week. I don't think they're going to do another 5-sack game here from Chandler Jones.
Sure.
But I don't like this offense for the Vikings.
Okay, first of all, what is Jefferson's prop?
Yeah. 71.5.
Yeah, I mean, I've got him pretty substantially over it. It's 91. It's actually a bigger edge than I have than Brown even. I just feel personally a little more comfortable with Brown just where I am. So I'd be fine to hit the over on that one. For sure. So, I don't think the defense is as bad. First of all, I feel like, again, I'm trying not to overreact to week one. I am not completely throwing out what I saw from the Cardinals-Titans game at all. But I do think that the Titans, I'm throwing it out from the Titans perspective for the most part, because, man, I think the COVID situation, they didn't get any practice time. Their offense looked completely just ridiculous. I think it's terrible. You and I both like Mike Vrabel. We think he's a good coach. I think he's going to whip their butts into shape this week, and you're going to see a much cleaner game from them going forward. So I think Arizona, look, they can do a lot of great stuff on offense, because as long as Kyler Murray is healthy, it can be glorious for sure. But I think the Vikings really, it was kind of weird that a lot of new starters, so I feel like it took a little bit for them to gel. They had a ton of penalties last week, like the things that kind of offset. I think their defense is better. I think Peterson, by the way, can maybe give them a little bit of intel, help a little bit with that sort of stuff. I think their secondary is better than people give them credit for. So this is a game that I think they managed to keep close. At very least, I think that we are able to probably get, a field goal type game and keep it close there. So I am holding my nose and going with the Vikings with that one. Bucks laying 12.5 at home to the Falcons. I'll give props, by the way. Some people are coming in right now saying they missed the props. I will relist all the props today at the end of the stream. So go ahead. So Matt, Bucks laying 12.5 to the Falcons.
Well, look, I mean, this is going to be everyone's teaser leg, right? And this is why I'm staying away from it, because it's just everyone's teasing this from 12.5 down. You might go, why isn't the number climbing? Well, it's because the books know that everyone's going to tease it. So they're not putting it at 13. They're not putting it at 14. You got 78% of the handle, 67% of the bets are coming in here, laying the 12.5 with the Bucks at home against the Falcons. You've got 93% of the handle on the money line, because every money line parlay includes the Buccaneers to win this game. So this massive money line parlay liability being built up, massive teaser liability being propped up. This is just one of those games I would not touch. I mean, I think the Bucks win and probably win going away. But this is, again, one of these double-digit spreads where something crazy could happen in a divisional game where you're not watching. You're like, oh, easy victory, and then the Falcons win the game outright.
Yeah, I mean, Falcons are the one team that I had a hard time not overreacting to or reacting significantly to, just because of how bad they looked. But I agree, there are these games every once in a while. So I'm not touching it with the spread. I will say, by the way, if you're watching this right now, I hope you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Again, we do podcasts. We put up all our podcast videos. Matt does Daily Juice. He puts up a Daily Juice video. If you're not subscribed, just click the subscribe button. Helps us out, by the way, to grow the channel. Click the notifications button. You'll know when we go live, whenever we do. And also like this video if you can. That also helps us out. Chargers laying 3 at home to the Cowboys.
Everyone's talking me off of this, Dan, and it pisses me off because I think I'm going to be on the right. I'm going to be right, and I didn't have the balls to actually fire on it because I think the Chargers are going to kill the Cowboys.
I'm on the Chargers, Matt.
I'm on the Chargers. Okay, good. I mean, I didn't have the guts to pull the trigger on it, but this is. Everyone's like, here comes this offense. You have 55% of the handle on the Cowboys. 64% of the bets are on the Cowboys plus the 3 on the road in LA. Total is 54.5, 82% on the over, 88% of the bet count is on the over at FanDuel. So, over and the Cowboys, which isn't that big of a shock because that's a typical public play to come in here. But watching the Cowboys against the Bucks, I don't know. I feel like it's like watching the Florida State Seminoles against Notre Dame. And they came close to winning and they didn't. And both those games were in Florida, in the same region, actually. And then you have an 0-3 start for the Florida State Seminoles. And I don't like the Cowboys this year. And I don't like that defense at all. I think Herbert goes to work today against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I was impressed with what I saw from the Chargers last week. I expected them to lose that game. Then they got Fitzpatrick injured, of course. But I thought, Washington would be able to kind of stop them. There are question marks about Washington and their defense now, obviously, after what we saw Thursday night. But I still was impressed. And again, you remember, Matt, this is a team where you joked last year, about how many injuries they sort of always deal with. And again, it's a team that has constantly lost these one-score games. This has been like their MO for years, but they have a different coaching staff right now and probably a better coaching staff. And I think that this is the time where they can really put things all together. And so long as Mike Williams is healthy, who looks great, obviously, Keenan Allen is fantastic, Austin Eckler is good enough, their defense is solid. Yeah, I'm on it in this one, Matt. I've placed a bet on this. I came around to it a little late in the week when I started really digging into it, but not sure why they talked you off of it, my friend. I like it on that one.
Yeah, I mean, the theory is what you talked about before, and we both of us talked about before. They think Elliott's going to run the football really well today.
Yep.
And that they had a game plan against the Bucs where basically they knew they had to score to keep pace.
Yep.
And they think that they can slow down this Chargers offense and they can confuse Herbert. That's why I stayed away from it. People that I respect are on the Cowboys, but I just was like, I don't know. If I was going to bet it, I think you're on the right side.
Yeah. By the way, Jonnu Smith is active in case anybody was wondering. I got some questions about that. So, but I assumed that was coming. So how about the Seahawks are hosting the Titans now? It's 6 points. I told you, I gave you a little tease.
6.5 now.
Is it 6? Oh, so it's right. So it's 6 because there are books all over the place. Like at DraftKings, it's 6. BetMGM, it's 6.5. FanDuel, it's 6.5. Fox Bet, it's 6. Points Bet, it's 6. So it's between 6 and 6.5. What do you think?
It's split 53% of the handles on the Seahawks, 52% of the bet counts on the Seahawks, 72% on the over from a handle perspective. Sharps are on the over in this game. Bet count 51% is on the over. So pretty much split with the public here. I think if I was going to bet this game, I would tease this down and take Seattle. Mm-hmm. But this does not fit in for a long teaser because the total's really high. So teasing this game really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This is a tough one. I need the Titans to win this game outright, and there's a lot of teaser liability. There's a lot of parlay liability on Seattle as being part of these money line bets. So 71% of the handle is on Seattle money line. I don't know. I hope that the Titans win this game. I'll just say this. For my own sake, I hope that the Titans are not as bad as they showed in week 1. But Arthur Smith not being the play caller anymore for Ryan Tannehill is scaring the heck out of me.
I really don't think that was it. And again, I couldn't be completely off on this situation, Matt. My read on this was very much of you guys missed basically all of camp and all of the preseason coming in because you guys had a COVID outbreak. The coaching staff was gone. Tannehill was gone for a while. He and Julio Jones didn't sync up. There are things, and even that, like you saw, like a route that Jones went one way, Tannehill thought he was going another way. That's just something that they sort of practice on. Derrick Henry isn't going to be bottled up again. The Seahawks do not have the pass rush that Chandler Jones put on. The offensive line was embarrassed. They will play better. I think I'm not going to go out here and predict that the Titans are going to win this game outright. I do have a little bit of them on the money line just because I do think that it's worth it at this point. I think they're going to keep it close. The Seahawks, by the way, remember, they don't win 2-score. Like they win 1-score games. That's what generally they like to do over the last, year or two. So I think this game stays close. I think the Titans could win this game. It's possible that sort of this lack of practice time is going to rear its ugly head for longer than just one extra week. But I think the Titans keep this close. I am on the Titans getting 6. Ravens getting 3.5, Matt, at home against the Chiefs. Go ahead.
Here's the game. Okay, here's the game. This is the biggest trap that's being set by the sports books that I have seen in a while. We're looking at 92% of the bets coming in on the Chiefs, 87% of the handle on the Chiefs, 86% of the handle on the money line on the Chiefs, and the books aren't moving the number.
Yep.
Guys, this should be 4, 4.5, 5. I haven't bet this yet. I'm just waiting, and I'm going to hope that the public money comes in so heavily on KC because everything's going to roll to this game. The liability for the books with all the parlays and all the money line, it's all going to come into Sunday night. And if they're not moving the number, then Ravens plus 3.5. I haven't bet it, but Ravens money line, I think, is a decent bet tonight here in this game. Fade everyone who thinks this is an automatic W because Patrick Mahomes is undefeated in September and they lost to the Ravens and the offensive line's a problem. I get all of that, but the books are telegraphing what they think is going to happen.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm not going the other way because you're absolutely right. Like this is so very clear, right? They exactly, exactly what they think and exactly what they want, and they're not giving an inch. Everything says take the Ravens. I can't, Matt. I can't. So if this stays at 3.5, you're gonna fire on the Ravens later.
If it stays at 3.5, what I'm probably gonna do is the same game teaser, and I'm probably gonna take it, and I'm gonna pull the number down, the total down, and take the over, and then take the plus 3.5 and make it 9.5, and take the Ravens.
Okay. All right.
That's all. If it stays, if it goes to 4, if it goes to 4.5, and we see a late move on this, then I will take the Ravens. I want 4 or higher on the Ravens. Okay. And that's why that's why the books aren't moving it, because they think they're saying that 4 is the number. Like, I don't know, like a 24-20 type of final, somewhere in that range. And I know that if I'm teasing it, it doesn't get there. So that's one of my concerns. I may go the other way and may go tease the total up and take the under. I haven't fully worked that out yet, but I just think they know that 4 is the number, and the Ravens plus 4 is the number to take the Ravens, and hopefully we get there. I just cannot believe they haven't moved it yet. I am blown away at the liability they have on the Chiefs, and right now the books are comfortable with it.
Yep. All right, I'm going to give my last prop here. I will recap all my props, by the way. My guess is most people are not going to love this one, but it's Darrell Henderson over 55.5 rushing yards at -114. The prop bet cheat sheet is at 67.57 yards for Henderson. I am at 65.7 rushing yards. It's a gap of 10. The bottom line is this. They came out, and from everybody who I've talked to, Matt, they're not going to give Sony Michel a specific workload here. Like, he's just going to kind of be the back. They're going to pound it. I think he's probably going to be good for, 18, 19 touches or something like that, probably carries 17, 18 carries. And I think he gets over this. Colts have a fine run defense. But again, I just think at this point, to our friend, whoever was mad about Eric Fisher disagrees, but I think this is a spot where the Rams are going to lead the entire way. I think they're going to win big, and I think they're going to lean on Henderson. So for me, 55.5 rushing yards. That is also for the prop bet cheat sheet. That is my 4th prop and final. I will lay them all. So
I'm going to trail that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I think you're going to be able to get some good numbers right now early on Henderson, where I think the books are still tweaking their models. They're still figuring out exactly what they want to do. They don't know how heavily Michel's going to come in. And just to be clear, Matt, I mean, I don't have that many connections or anything like that, but I do have the occasional people who are plugged in very closely with teams. I spend my Saturday nights updating my projections. I text them and everything like that. They seem to suggest that we're going to see a lot of Henderson in this game, and they expect they think they're going to win. It's going to be a lot of Henderson. So I'm going to go with this. I think
you're right about that. I like it because I think it's second half, just run the clock out.
Correct.
Just hand the ball off and let them go for 6-7 yards and just keep the clock rolling. Correct. And just not have to worry too much about throwing the football and getting Stafford hurt or whatnot. So, yeah, I like that a lot.
Yep. Okay, so last game, I fear for the Lions in this one. 11.5, the Packers are laying to the Lions.
So look, I think my angle on this is I'm going to be more involved with props than I am going to be involved in the side and the total in this game, because this is screaming Lions to get annihilated. But I just wonder a little bit about the fact that offense didn't look in sync last week for the Packers, and it's his favorite team. Aaron Rodgers destroys the Lions. Yep. This is what he feasts on them. But I'm not 100% sold that going home is going to have a get-right spot. And I know Okuda's out for the Lions, and they don't have a secondary or a defense, and it should be just all Green Bay, all one-sided. And that very well might happen. I think Green Bay wins the game, but I worry about backdoor cover. Maybe I'll get involved in the first half for Green Bay, but the number just is too high.
Yeah. That's how I feel too. I mean, if I had to choose a side, I had to. It was your money, Matt. And you said you have to bet on this game. I would take the Packers because I think the most likely outcome is the Packers by 2 touchdowns in this game, because I think this is going to just be such an angry performance. But
I will say this: if these numbers continue, and we're ways, tomorrow's Monday, so we'll see. But 60% of the handle and 64% of the bets are on the Lions plus 12.5.
Really?
Yeah, at FanDuel. So if those numbers continue, if the public is going to be fading Aaron Rodgers, which I am shocked by, that doesn't make really a lot of sense to me. But if we're seeing that bet count creep up and everyone's taking the Lions, saying Green Bay scored 3 points last week, they're not going to score any points against the Lions. I mean, if you give me a better number than 12.5, if I can get to 10, which would be shocking, I'm not getting there. But if I get anywhere near it, I mean, the Packers are winning this game. It's just a matter of how many points are they going to win it by.
Right. All right. So that was the last game. So very quickly, I'm going to go through the props. Everybody right here, all the props that I've given out, so we can talk about them.
I'll give my 4 props. Yep. And then I'll give you the Wong teaser as well.
Okay. First, I will remind you, of course, that again, go to bettingpros.com/props. Go ahead. The top 15 were 11-4 last week, 17.73% with that. All right. So the number one I gave out, and a lot of people, by the way, especially betting DraftKings, they understand DraftKings is tough with props, and that's the only market that I have access to. So I can't always bet these necessarily. Their props are routinely 2 or 3 yards in the direction that I know I want to bet to where it's got to be. Right. So that's what it is. So Chris Carson over 16.5 receiving yards, prop bet cheat sheet at 22.4. I'd bet it. If people are saying they can see 18.5, I'd be okay with it at 18.5. If it gets to 19, forget it. Just let it go. Not a huge deal whatsoever, but it is something where I do think that he is going to be involved. He hit this number 9 of the last 13 games. I don't see any reason why this one is going to be different. Next, Jacoby Myers over 54. I think it was 54. Might have been 54.5. I don't know if I cut that off. Receiving yards minus 120. The prop bet cheat sheet is at 64.5. I am right around there. So I think that both of them are going to do well. Again, they're going to be in the chat right now. So even if you can't see it when I'm putting them up. Next, I just said Darrell Henderson, that one, which I will again show up one more time. People are saying that they can get 58.5. I probably personally wouldn't bet it at 58.5, but if you do, it's fine. I think it's going to hit over, but I think the edge is much less at that point, but not higher than that. 58.5, people are asking about. You can do that if you absolutely, have to. That would probably be something where it'd be like, I see an edge, but I'm not going to make the bet. But if you do, I still think that you will go over. And finally, A.J. Brown. This is one that is in the top 15 of the prop bet cheat sheet. This is specific. A.J. Brown over 67.5 receiving yards. I said that I'm on more of the Titans in this game. I think there's going to be a bounce back. Minus 114, 83.94 yards from the prop bet cheat sheet. I'm right around there as well. I would bet it up to 69.5. After that, I would probably just try to let it go. But those are the 4 props that I am betting. Matt, go ahead.
So I'm trailing you on Jacoby Myers.
Okay.
On 54.5. I'm trailing you on A.J. Brown at 67.5. I'm going to trail you on Darrell Henderson over 55.5. I'm going to add for the last quarter unit. I'm going to add Justin Jefferson over 71.5 yards receiving at minus 115. Mm-hmm. So I think he will have a big game. I do think that there's going to be a lot of offense in that Vikings Cardinals game. I don't think the Cardinals defense is all that great, and I think Jefferson's going to have a big game. Thielen too. I think both receivers are going to have a big game for the Vikings catching the football. And then just to reset, okay, real quick here on Wong teasers, there are some rules when it comes to Wong teasers. I'm not going to talk about who. Go Google Wong if you want to figure out Wong teasers. You want to know who made this, but it's a 2-team 6-point teaser. The total has to be 49 or less to qualify. You're teasing home favorites at 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9 down. You're teasing home dogs from 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5 or up. And then you're taking road underdogs of 1, 2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5 or more, and you're teasing that up. So luckily here, 49, Eagles Panthers qualifies as a Wong teaser. So we're going Eagles +9, Panthers +9 for qualifying for one full unit as it qualifies for a Wong teaser.
Okay.
So we're jumping on that.
Excellent. Well done. I like it. So you want to, Matt, any of your plays this week? You just want to very quickly recap here before we go that you're doing good.
Cardinals -3.5, Patriots -6, and the Bengals +3. Those numbers were given out earlier in the week. The Patriots number is now 6 and climbing. And then the teaser is Dolphins, Patriots, Dolphins up to 9.5, and the Patriots down to a pick.
Beautiful. Okay. You guys can also find the rest of mine as well on the BettingPros NFL podcast. If you want to check it out. Matt, this was great. I love this every Sunday morning at 11 a.m.
Told you my idea was good. Told you I have good ideas sometimes.
I absolutely refuse to give you any credit whatsoever, whatever you do, but it's not terrible. People are here enjoying it. Guys, good luck. Ping me on Twitter at DanHarris80 at Sports Talk Matt, whatever you want to do. We will catch you again next week. Same bad time, same